In this video, we're going to do the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I cubed. So we're going to do the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I to the 0 or 1. It's just the n points minus subtract each other, so n minus 1. And then you have to add an additional term, so that'd be n. The sum as I goes from 1 to n of I is n plus 1 over 2. And the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I squared is n plus 1, 2n plus 1 over 6. So the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I plus 1 to the fourth minus I to the fourth, this will equal the sum I goes from 1 to n, I to the fourth plus 4 I cubed plus 6 I squared plus 4 I plus 1 minus I to the fourth. So this is just the Pascal's triangle. So I to the fourth and I to the fourth will cancel, leaving us with the sum. So I goes from 1 to n. I'm going to take the 4 out, I cubed. Another sum, 6. Take the I equals 1 to n of I squared plus 4 times the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I plus the sum as I goes from 1 to n of 1. But this is telescoping. This will be 2 to the fourth minus 1 to the fourth plus 3 to the fourth minus 2 to the fourth, and so on. Plus the I minus 1 term would be I to the fourth minus I minus 1 to the fourth, and I plus 1 to the fourth minus I to the fourth. This and this will cancel, this and something will cancel, 2 to the fourth and 2 to the fourth will cancel, 3 to the fourth and 3 to the fourth minus 3 to the fourth will cancel, leaving us with I plus 1 to the fourth minus 1. So we have an equation I plus 1 to the fourth minus 1 is equal to, so we have 4 times the sum we're solving for, which I'll just call S, plus 6 times the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I squared, which we know is n plus 1, 2n plus 1 over 6. Then we have 4 times this sum, which will be n plus 1 over 2. And then our last term will be just n. This will be 4s plus n plus 1, 2n plus 1, plus 2 times n plus 1 times n plus n. This will be n, 2n plus 2, plus another term, so this will be n, 2n plus 3. Okay, and then this will be 4s plus n plus 1, 2n plus 2, 1 plus. So I think we should factor out n times just n, so we're left with, we're going to expand this out, so this will be 2n squared plus 3n, so that'll be 2n and n plus 1, and then we're going to have 2n plus 3. This will be 4s plus n, 2n squared plus 5n plus 4, and this is all equal to I plus 1. Yeah, it's supposed to be n plus 1 to the 4 minus 1. So all of this, the last term should be n. So I had a slight mistake, but the n points are n. So I'm going to move stuff to the other side, so we get 4s is n plus 4, that's n plus 1 to the fourth minus 1, minus n times 2n squared plus 5n plus 4. And we're going to divide by 4. So we get n plus 1 to the 4 minus 1 minus, I'm going to expand the n out, so 2n cubed minus 5n squared minus 4n all over 4. I'm going to expand n plus 1 cubed to the fourth, so that'd be n to the fourth plus 4n cubed plus 6n squared plus 4n plus 1 minus 2n cubed minus 5n squared minus 4n all over 4. So negative 1 will cancel. This will be, let's see, negative 4n and 4n will cancel. So I'm just going to combine like terms. So 4n cubed and 2n cubed is plus 2n cubed. This and this. 6n squared and 5n squared will be n squared all over 4. Okay. So that would be n squared. So that would be n times n cubed plus, I'll factor out n squared. N squared times n squared plus 2n plus 1 all over 4. This will be n squared times n plus 1 squared over 4. So this will be n plus 1 over 2 all squared. So interesting identity. The sum as I goes from 1 to n of I cubed is the sum as I goes from 1 to n of I, whole thing squared. Because that's n times n plus 1 over 2 squared. So that is the end of the video.